Hey everyone, I'm Monique and I'm excited to welcome you to today's LinkedIn Live session, AI-powered ERP, the future of SAP with business AI. I'm here on behalf of Pronix Inc. and we're proud to be hosting this conversation in collaboration with SAP. Let's be honest, ERP systems aren't just about managing data anymore. They've evolved. With AI now baked into SAP, we're seeing systems that can anticipate, recommend, and actually guide better decisions across the business. Whether it's finance, supply chain, HR, you name it, AI is changing the game, helping organizations move faster, work smarter, and boost productivity in ways that felt out of reach just a few years ago. So today, we're going to dig into what this really looks like. How is business AI transforming ERP? And more importantly, what does it mean for the future of how your business operates? That's what we're diving in today. So let's get started. If you don't have the chat or comments area opened up, please go ahead and do so now. Just look down below if you're on your phone or to the right-hand side if you're viewing us on a desktop for an area to leave your comments. This is where we'll be asking you questions and feedback. We want this to be a two-way street where it truly is interactive during the time we spend together during this session. Please feel free to share any ideas or questions that may pop up as we go through this session. In fact, let us know right now where you are joining us from. As you all are sharing with us, I would like to share a bit about who we are. As mentioned before, I'm Monique, here on behalf of Pronix Inc. At Pronix, we help enterprises modernize and future-proof their ERP systems by integrating SAP's business AI capabilities. From predictive finance to intelligent supply chain and AI-powered HR, our team helps businesses streamline processes, reduce costs, and unlock real-time insights that actually move the needle. Whether you're just starting to explore AI in your ERP stack or looking to take your existing systems to the next level, we're here to help you do it in a way that's scalable, secure, and built for the future. Now, before we dive in, I'm excited to introduce the incredible experts joining us for today's conversation. First up, we have Gladson. Gladson, welcome. Please let us know a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. I'm Gladson Jacob, and for the last 21 years, I've had the unique privilege of seeing the evolution of SAP. Over the past 21 years, I've worked extensively with SAP ecosystems, and I've seen it transform basically from a transactional ERP system to a platform that now powers intelligent enterprises. Working at Cintas for the past 8 years, currently I lead our data science and engineering and the middleware teams. Our job is to use AI, machine learning, and smart integrations to help our businesses run smoother, keep our customers happy, and find new ways to grow. I'm really excited to share some of what we have learned with you, by the way, about my attire. It's just the business that we are in at Cintas. Ready for the workday. We are in the uniform business. That's about it.
All right, thank you so much, Gladson. Next, joining us is Andy. Andy, how are you? Please let us know a little bit about yourself.
I'm very well. Thank you very much, Monique. Thank you very much for the invitation this morning. My name is Andy Hancock. I'm part of the executive leadership team for supply chain management here at SAP. And a couple of the global projects that I own, one of interest of today is that business AI for supply chain management. I'm based in the Bay Area in Palo Alto. I've been in SAP for 18 years now, and I've done business across the globe, helping our customers really just realize, the power of an ERP system and the business suite in general.
All right. Thank you so much for being here to the both of you. It's great to have you join us today. Now let's get into the core of what we're here to talk about, how AI is reshaping ERP systems, and what that actually means in practice. So for years, ERP has been the backbone of enterprise operations, but with AI now infused into SAP, we're seeing a shift from static data management to systems that actually think and act alongside your teams. So let's dive in and unpack how AI is helping ERP evolve into something smarter, faster, and more human-centered. So the first question is for the both of you. What does AI-powered ERP truly mean for modern enterprises? Andy, you
I
go first.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Well, I mean, what it truly means is that in the simplest form, it is allowing the data to do the work. Before, SAP has been known as the system of record, the system of transaction, and really AI invigorates that data that's sitting there and really bringing insights to the person in charge. When we see the person in charge, even though as much as we do with AI, it's still the human is in the center of everything. It's being able to provide the information in a timely fashion. It's a very exciting time in SAP, and we're seeing those silos break down between business units within organizations to actually realize that really time to market elements that they're looking for.
All right. Thank you so much, Andy. And Gladson?
So for years, we've treated our ERPs like giant databases,
Okay.
places to store information. But that's undergoing a massive shift. We are moving from a passive system to an active, intelligent partner. Frankly, integrating AI into SAP isn't a futuristic concept anymore. To stay competitive, it's something we need to be doing right now. It's becoming the key to automating those repetitive administrative tasks nobody wants to do. More importantly, it's delivering insights that can genuinely grow the business. For example, at Cintas, we call our employees partners, and until recently, each customer facing partner would spend about 8 to 12 hours per week to prepare the customer summary by reviewing various Fiori applications, Bob J reports, SAP transactions, etc. Recently, we integrated AI into our in house built Customer 360 Fiori application to summarize customer data for partners who visit our customers to maintain the relationship with the customers. This reduced the prep time down to 2 to 3 hours per week, which enabled them to see more customers. This is how we are adding AI, or AI is empowering our ERP. Across every industry, we are seeing people completely reimagine their most important work like finance, HR, logistics, all because of intelligent automation.
All right.
There was a bit I want, just going off Gladstone that I wanted to talk about. When we think of the system of record, as I mentioned before, then moving into the system of intelligence, and even now we're talking about the system of agents, where we're maintaining a clean core within the S4 system, and then building around the innovation areas around the outside in a what we call a bimodal IT element. So you can embrace the cloud initiatives that are going on and being able to adopt those technology packages that are coming out across from SAP and from the partner ecosystem. So rather than having these heavy upgrade activities every few years, you are in a continuous improvement. And I think that the AI initiative that's coming through across all wakes of business is really, changing the way that enterprise systems are operated and seen. And it's this moving into this ever evolving entity rather than being stale and fixed. It's moving on at a faster rate that we've ever seen in a continuous fashion.
All right. Thank you to you both. Right. Where is AI delivering the biggest impact in SAP core processes?
I mean, from my perspective, so from a supply chain perspective, it is really, we're gathering lots of information at a transactional level. And even though that data is accessible and typically pushed into dashboards and presentations, those are digital dead ends. Whereas what we're talking about really is being able to act on that information, provide insight to the person that's making the question, querying that information. And I think that's where the time savings really. I mean, if you boil it down to the fundamentals, AI is a time saving activity. I could collect all of that information manually, but that would take me a significant amount of time, and the data is already aging at that particular point in time. Whereas AI collects all of that and then provides me with the insight that I can then act upon at a quicker point in time.
All right. Thank you, Andy. And then for you, Gladson.
Just adding on. And it's happening right in the core processes we all deal with every single day. For instance, in operations, we can now predict when a piece of machinery will need maintenance. In finance, smart invoicing is saving a ton of time and improving accuracy. For example, about a year ago at Cintas, we did a POC on revenue forecasting using machine learning, using SAP's PAL algorithm, which augmented what our GMs were performing manually for years. For supply chain folks, demand forecasting is becoming incredibly powerful. And in HR, we are finding better ways to optimize our talent. For example, recently, SAP announced about acquiring Smart Recruiters, a leading talent acquisition software provider, to enhance SAP SuccessFactors suite with Smart Recruiters capabilities in high volume recruiting, recruitment automation, and AI-driven candidate experience and engagement. So the common thread here is that we are using AI to turn on ERPs from passive databases, like Andy has been mentioning, into active engines for the business. This lets our teams get ahead of trends, automate the tedious work, and make faster, more confident decisions.
So I have give you a couple of examples of elements. So we have a product in transportation management, or a feature within transportation management called intelligence goods receipts. This is before it used to be a manual task. A vehicle would come up to a docking bay and then provide a delivery note. And that could be as big as 200 pages, where you would go through manually entering those information. Now what we do with the aid of AI and generative AI is actually scan all of that in. So that's nothing new, an OCR, so object character recognition software. But the key thing is interpreting who it is, what type of invoice it is, and then what type of business object should I create in the back end to then insert it into SAP. So we've got those time and motion elements now taking the manual processes out to then complete this digital to digital end. Then when we talk about predictive maintenance, we've been dealing with, well, we've had, let's say, machine learning since 2010, which was when the HANA database was launched, and we had a predictive analytics library in there. And most of the products that we have ML embedded within it. So predictive maintenance, that's looking at how can I forecast into the future when an asset is about to fail. And this in the asset world is all about potential failure, the PF curve. If I can extend the life of my asset, then my overall cost of service and resources associated with that over its lifetime, so some of the larger assets are 25, 30 years, I can save significant money on spare parts and resources available. We talk about demand forecasting. It is all about how far can I understand the trends? And what we're talking about now is really taking not just the information or the history, looking back at the trends, but looking at things that influence. So we have partners in this space that look at risk and criticality, event management. So we have supply chain risk analysis. So we can see the events that are occurring outside in the world. So we look at geopolitical events, we look at natural disaster events, and how that would actually impact your forecast. And we're bringing all of that information in, summarizing it, and then being able to consume that in a business as it's asked from the end user.
All right, thank you so much, Andy, for those detailed examples. In fact, I feel like right now it's just if AI and integrating it with ERP seems to be all about efficiency, right? I like how you provided an example, Andy, and even for you, Gladson, some of the things that were manual, right? And now you're able to add some automation, some efficiency, take down the time. I really love the example of the transportation with the 200-page receipts. So I think this is a great session for people who are just wondering whether they should start paying attention to AI, but most importantly, how they can go about integrating it with their pre-existing ERP systems. With that said, Glasson, how can businesses overcome ERP challenges like data silos and legacy systems with AI?
Sorry. Am I audible now? There was something
Yes.
wrong with my internet.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. For silos and legacy systems, I know I couldn't catch hold of Andy, but I can add my point to it. But there was something wrong with my internet in between. The answer is embedded intelligence. By building AI into the core, we make the entire system more agile and adaptable. It's about building intelligence directly into the systems we already use. When that happens, the user experience completely changes. The boring, repetitive tasks begin to fade away. In their place, you get smart recommendations and proactive alerts. The system starts giving you helpful suggestions right when you need them. The whole environment becomes more responsive, helping you solve problems in real time, not a week later. For example, to prove the capability of utilizing innovations by industry giants like SAP and Google, at Cintas, we recently built a data lake on the cloud, acquiring data from SAP and non-SAP systems, adding data quality and transformation layers, enabling access to consolidated data to business end users to perform analytics and predictive analytics. And one of the use cases that helped us sending out marketing emails. This enabled us to send automated marketing emails using product recommendations that were also built using SAP machine learning. And that in the marketing emails that we send out, we were able to embed products that we had calculated using machine learning and embedded that into the email body. So that was all enabled because we had machine learning at hand and we had integration with SAP and non-SAP data all into the consolidated platform. All the embedded analytics, smart workflows, and the AI copilots serve one purpose: to bridge the gap between data and action so your teams can collaborate better and innovate faster.
All right. Thank you so much, Gladson. Andy, my next question. Oh, go.
I mean, I can answer. I've got a piece to answer on that one. I was like, so. Sure. From SAP's perspective, the way that we're looking at this is that, organizations have SAP, but they also have other systems. And when I'm really looking at it, and this is where we have our strategy with Business Data Cloud, where we're looking at surfacing and publishing data products for our core systems, so supply chain, HXM, procurement, finance, bringing those up, and then creating what we a SAP semantic layer, and utilizing the injection that we see with the generative AI organizations. So, Google, as Gladson mentioned, OpenAI, Anthropic, etc. We'll be able to create an SAP knowledge graph by surfacing up the business processes and this knowledge graph. we have the ability to then ingest information in the context of SAP's business processes. And then when we have that ability, we can now start to augment existing business processes and still aim at the customer business outcome. And I think that's the key. Whenever we're talking about new technologies, it's not a technology looking for a problem. It's really augmenting what we're doing today. Right. It is also about giving us the opportunity to do something different. So as I mentioned with the delivery notes, there was a set process before. There was a big one. Somebody printed it out. The driver had to wait for it to be printed out. Then it was in the cab. He had to find somebody to hand it over to. Somebody then had to go and key that in. There was a step of processes that took time, and there was idle time. When you're in the logistics area, you want to eliminate all that idle time from your process. So the technology assisted in reducing the idle time. It increased the accuracy of those entities and also the time to invoice. I couldn't do my further processes beyond the delivery without the information being in the system. And that is what AI is going to do. That's what Business Data Cloud is going to enable, is augment the various processes that organizations already have to give better insight to their organization.
Thank you, Andy, for chiming in, and especially bringing to our attention the knowledge graph. I think that's really, really interesting. So thank you for answering that. So my next question is to you, Andy. How do AI copilots enhance SAP user experiences? But before you answer that question, can you please define what AI copilots are for the beginners or people who have no idea what those are for SAPs?
Sure. So it may be, you may have heard it by several different names. I mean, digital assistant, Copilot is Microsoft's Copilot. It's really utilizing the generative AI capability of a large language models and communicating with it. Most people would know OpenAI and ChatGPT. So in SAP's world, this is called Joule. It's our digital assistant, and it is a companion that sits all across the SAP landscape. So it doesn't matter where you are. It is everywhere. So I could be over in the finance section of my application, and I would then be able to ask logistics or forecasting questions from there. I don't need to navigate. And so the main thing of AI digital assistants is really breaking down and reinventing the way that you interact with enterprise software. Rather than in SAP world, we have what's called transaction codes. Rather than understanding those individuals' transaction codes in order to navigate through the application, in natural language, I can navigate through that way. As an example, I can ask questions about what I've just seen or what's on the screen. So things like integrating with WalkMe in terms of help files, going out into the community, understanding, transactional information, insights as we evolve with our capability. And really, it is the new way to interact with SAP. It's now turning into a blinking cursor. As what can I do? You add voice to that, and then you can have conversations with it, and to then execute to it. So we're going to see it vastly evolving. We've got skills now. So Joule Studio now enables us to create skills within that. So as an organization, I can create very specific capability within Joule and then allow that to execute. We have an agreement, a partnership with Microsoft. So we can now actually bidirectionally communicate within the M365 products. So you could be in Teams having a conversation like we are right now. And you could ask, give me the latest forecast on, asking the Joule agent. It can then go out to the system in the Joule, to your S4 system, and then come back with a result. And then likewise, you could be in the SAP world and say, I need to create an invite next Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Coast time between the three of us, and it would then go out and tell me, well, I can do that, or there's a conflict. And so we're really blurring the lines between distinct applications, and then we bring in large organizations like Google that have got their BigQuery capability pushing out into that unstructured, that social sentiment data. And what does that mean to organizations? It actually lowers the skill set. I don't need to be an SAP expert in planning. I just need to be a citizen planner. So I just need to understand what I need to do for my business. And then I can now, rather than worry about what version of integrated business planning that I have within my system, I can pick it up because I understand the planning business processes. So it's the bar to entry is is lowering, which then enables, some organizations struggle to find resources. You are making it a little easier to bring those resources into your organization.
Thank you. Yeah, great examples. And I really loved how you mentioned blurring the lines of applications. In fact, I believe I came across an article the other day about the prediction in a couple of years, we won't even have apps, right? So the fact that we're already starting to see how AI can, or in your case, AI copilots can help with, blurring the lines of applications and making it work for you, but more importantly, integrating it into the SAP user experience. So thank you for sharing those examples. Now, for those of you who are still with us right now and watching, if you've got a question, please go ahead and drop it in the chat or comments. We've seen a couple come in thus far, but whether you're curious about how AI is shaping patient engagement, what it really takes to implement these tools, or other things, our panel is here to dig in with you, especially with utilizing SAP as the main platform. So don't be shy. We're keeping an eye on your questions and can't wait to bring in a few of them into the conversation. And thank you to you both, Gladson and Andy, of providing great examples. I think that really helps for those who are still on the fence or just, wondering how can this be applicable to them. I feel like the fact that you guys are providing various examples in various industries is really helping the audience. So I greatly appreciate that. Now, my next question is open to the both of you. What measurable business outcomes can organizations expect from AI embedded ERP? Who would like to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, it's all depending on the situation, depending on the organization. Let's do some fundamentals. I think purely. There's a lot of organizations that looking at developing capability, customization, innovation cycles within SAP, within the SAP. So we have products called Joule for Developer and Joule for Consultant. Now, the simple quantifying that. So these are digital assistants that understand the SAP universe. So they've got the knowledge graph, so they understand basically the coding capable, code complete, I think would be the easiest, right? So what we've been seeing in our testing is that you would get a productivity gain of about 20 to 30% from a senior developer writing code. So rather than individually typing the letters out, and my very first job out of university was a developer, and we had code complete, so you'd start typing the text and then it would finish the sentence. What we're talking about now is actually completing entire processes and business units within a piece of code. And so rather than typing it out and the manual task of that, I actually come into the point of being a reviewer. So then I can review what's been written, and this is where the activity increases. When we talk about simple AI, I mean, when we talk about predictive maintenance, typically it's about 8 to 10% reduction in costs when using predictive maintenance tasks. So as we elongate the life of that asset, and particularly the periods of time that I do my assets over that time, maybe over 10 years, I can do one less service than I would have normally done if I'd done time-based. When we talk about forecasting, it's, stock around the world, orphaned elements. I mean, there's been organizations where, they've uncovered stockpiles in various warehouses because they've been orphaned from the particular process. They were reserved, and then then that particular work order or work request was cancelled, and the stock remained there. So we're seeing, when we're understanding what the business is doing, then we're reducing the overhead of our stock. And I've seen organizations save multiple millions in reducing the stock that they have in order to still operate completely efficiently. Gladstone, have you?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, when we talk about the measurable outcomes, it comes to really three key areas: the boost in productivity, faster, smarter decisions, and of course, the tangible cost savings. Like you said, even within Cintas, we are utilizing the code assist as well as provided by both Joule as well as Gemini, where our developers have been using code assist, and our goal is to increase productivity by 60 to 65%, because it is so amazing how when the developer has a concept, they put it into AI, it augments. So that's just from the technique, the IT standpoint. But from a business standpoint itself, I can add an example to what we spoke earlier, where the same Customer 360 Fury application that I mentioned earlier, we added a chat agent that can read data from SAP and non-SAP sources like an agent and provide responses to our customers-facing partners that are in front of the customer. In the past, the partner would have to take notes, get back to the customer later, about a week later, once they have all the answers, they have done the research. But here, with that Customer 360 tool and the chat available to them, the customer-facing partners are able to provide answers in real time to the customers. That is one of these are like the business benefits that we see that come out of this. Similarly, but there's a big but. These results don't just happen by magic. The true value comes down from how well we adopt the technology and weave it into our daily work. So that, I think we're coming into the change management piece. That's where we'll talk more on that. But it takes strong leadership, a clear plan, and a real commitment to helping our teams learn and adapt to these powerful new tools. Because I know, working with our IT leadership at Cintas, I knew that it was not an easy penetration or easy to convince business the value add, until we had to do multiple POCs to prove to them, yes, this is the value add that you will get.
Thank you, Gladson. In fact, I'm glad you brought up change management, right? Because I know trying to integrate this AI or introduce an AI, there's so many conflicting views about it. So change management is definitely a large piece, which kind of cues us up for the next question to the both of you. And in fact, I want to acknowledge Sheikh Shada. I apologize if I mispronounce your name, but they asked pretty much the same exact question in the chat. So my next question is, how are enterprises ensuring successful AI adoption within SAP environments?
I can take that one first. I mean, sure. I think the key thing is, I mentioned it earlier on, is it should never be a technology looking for a problem. It should always be augmenting and reinforcing a business outcome. And with that is strong change management. And when we talk about change management, successful projects have always run IT and business as champions, as almost cohorts in any project, in a business process. So if your technology or AI is affecting a particular business process, then there should be responsibility and ownership from both the business and IT for that process. Typically the business owner within that space. And then when we're talking about it's not just a technical upgrade. I think that is the key thing. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to readdress the way that I do business. It's the opportunity to readdress the way that that business process executes. And that's when we're going to completely realize the AI capability within that process. And just like other technologies that have come along, and we don't even think about it. We think about a relational database. We think about mobile as a method of consumption. They're ubiquitous. We don't think about databases. We know that they're there. But there was a point in time when databases were the thing. It was like, okay, we can store data there. We can get it out. But what we're going to see, and people have learned their lessons, is that we're going to see, we won't talk about AI in, I'll say 5 years. Maybe we'll move on to quantum computing. Maybe that will be the thing that everybody's talking about. But the key to successful adoption is not to hang the success on the AI piece, but on the re-engineering of that business process.
Yeah, I think that's very key. And thank you for saying that, Andy, because I think a lot of people have the wrong attention, like you said, just having it on AI and being AI is the success factor versus, like you said, focusing on the process and seeing how it could be improved or enhanced, integrating AI. And I think a lot of people should consider thinking about it in that way because they'll be more open to it, experiment with it, do the, like Gladson said, of having proving POCs and things, having these little kind of incremental experiments, if you will, so that the whole team and the whole organization is more open to it. So thank you for sharing that. What about you, Gladson? Oh, it seems like we lost him for a moment.
There we go. Yeah, he's here.
Yep.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Or have you frozen?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
We're there. We can hear you.
Sorry, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
I think he missed the question.
Okay. Sure. So Andy just gave us some insight. So we just want to open it up to you, Gladson, as far as how are enterprises ensuring successful AI adoption within the SAP environments?
Yeah. Okay. From my experience, the technology is often the easy part. The real work is on the people side. It really boils down to the three key areas. First is the great change management that we just hinted upon. We can't just roll out a new tool on a Friday and expect people to love it on Monday. We have to bring them along on the journey, be transparent about the why behind the change and what's in it for them. Like I said, the POCs that I mentioned earlier, yes, productionalizing the POCs was not easy because those were all things that we were trying it out from the IT side. But the easy adoption came in when we asked the business, what's your biggest problem? And that's where they told us about the customer facing partners having to spend so many hours preparing notes. We worked with the business. Okay, these are your problems. Okay, we will use AI to solve this problem. And that was an easy adoption, working along with business instead of pushing a solution on them. That helped easy adoption, and change management was easy in that one. But the ones that we had POC from our side was not easy to productionalize or push it to the business. Secondly, a real commitment to upskilling. It's our responsibility as leaders to give our teams the skills and confidence they need. This means practical, hands-on training, creating a culture where it's safe to experiment, celebrating the small wins, and giving them the environment to, like a sandbox, to play, learn, and allowing them to explore instead of curbing them. Oh, do not do this, do not do. We'll have security principles in place, but still giving them a playground where they can explore. That was second key. And third, we have to break down the silos. AI adoption can't be successful if it just lives in one department. So we need to encourage our finance, supply chain, operations team all to work together to adopt these and pilot these new solutions and share what they learn, because once one department is happy and they talk about it, that's where there's easy adoption.
Thank you, Gladson. So Andy, my next question, I believe, is a large concern that a lot of people have, and that is, what safeguards are in place for governance and compliance with AI-powered ERP?
Okay, that is a very big question. So let's say there's two aspects. There's both the physical implementation of AI, and then there's the governance that sit around it. So SAP has the three R's. So it's relevant, reliable, and responsible. Within that. So what I talk about relevant is that is relevant information to the user that is asking for it. So if I'm asking for a piece of information, it's really just in the context of the business question that I'm asking. I may ask, so to give you a practical example, your HR system is part of the ERP system. Somebody may ask for, tell me the compensation package of the CEO. That information is restricted from a roles-based perspective. It will also say within Joule itself, it will not allow you to go into the outside world in order to augment your information. So you are very much relevant to the task in hand, and you can set that up by the user that you're logged in, or in the context of the screen that you're in, for instance. Then we have reliable. Reliable is that it doesn't matter what frequency of time goes between, is that if I ask the same question, I get the same answer back. Now, in the concert, most people are concerned, we've all heard about hallucinations. Large language models are all about probabilistic results. So it understands from its large language model that this sequence of words go together and are the most probable in terms of the answer. The best way of describing large language models around hallucinations, they have a tendency to be like a little puppy. They want to please. And so in order to counter that pleasing, we put in grounding mechanisms. So the simplest thing is, like, I ask a question around, what questions should I answer on this LinkedIn live session? And I have a little document on my desktop, and I will tell the large language model, please provide the answer to this question from this document only. It would then bring back the half dozen questions that I have as what I should do. So I'm grounding into a certain set of information. And then a very key thing is when we talk about responsibility. And that is all about, just because I can, should I? So should I, if I have create some sort of AI agent that has access to HR information, would it create a bias in the system because it understands my gender or my ethnicity? Does it have personal information? We have within the governance organization, so we have an internal governance team that set out very strict workflows. So if there's any personal information, then that is not something, no use case will ever be allowed, unless it's a HR element. If there's any biased or negative impact to a human in terms of the result, so maybe it would publish something not too flattering out into the public domain. maybe some Facebook, some childhood pictures or something like that, that maybe my mother has posted 20 years ago. It would say, no, you're not going to do that, although my mother wouldn't mind. And then, we then look at, okay, then we have an external watchdog to say, yes, there's also a governance body that is looking at it from industry to say, you're going in the right path. So SAP then sets all of these structures up for organizations to then execute its different business processes within that space. So that's a big question. It is a big question, I think. From a technical perspective, where in terms of IP, so there are, organizations are very concerned about sharing their information into large language models, and there are two elements. There's the first one that everybody's very concerned about is their data being put into a public domain. So SAP, over the last Sapphire and 2024, we announced partnerships with all of the large language model providers. And within that, the stipulation is that we signed specific contracts with each one of them to say that none of SAP's data, customer data, feeds or learns into their models. So that's number one. The one that most people don't think about is how I interact with large language models. So what we call the prompt engineering, what questions do I ask? The way that the frequency and the context of those questions is how I do my business. It's my differentiator in the marketplace. Now, if we took Coca-Cola and PepsiCo, they don't want to let the other person understand how they do business. And so that's the second thing that SAP ensures when we talk about business AI, is that the way that you interact with that model doesn't get used by the large language model and stays within it. It's almost like an incognito browser. So while I'm in that session, I have the full capability of that large language model. But when I finish that session, all of that information is then isn't passed on to the general model.
I love that, Andy. Thank you so much for answering such a big question, because it is a big concern, right? And then introducing the 3 R's. I just want to say to everyone that's watching this or the replay, don't get any ideas of trying to look up the compensation of your CEO, okay? So, but I love that. I love what you said. And then also just ending it, I feel like tying it with a bow it's like an incognito window, right? And so hopefully most of you all know what that means in regards to the browser world, but I thank you for answering such a big question. And I feel like that's a whole nother conversation or a whole episode that we can dedicate to. So I appreciate you for tackling that. So our next question is, what's next for SAP Business AI and intelligent ERP?
I would like to take that. Just
Okay.
have to point it at Andy later.
Go ahead.
We talk about what's next for business AI, SAP Business AI, well, we are moving from a responsive ERP to a truly proactive one. Imagine a world with adaptive workflows. A massive storm is about to hit a shipping lane. You need to know that upfront so that they can plan ahead. The system doesn't just send you an alert, it's also rerouting your shipments and adjusting delivery timelines before you've even had your morning coffee. Similarly, and the AI copilots are we talking about, they're evolving into proactive agents. So I would like to ask Andy, okay, what is SAP's plan with this as we move forward, especially with proactive agents, real-time learning, adaptive workflows, etc.?
Yes, I mean, this is the exciting thing. I think this is what everybody's been waiting for. We've got the large language models are in essence the foundational elements, and chat GPTs and the blinking cursors are the doorway to this wonderful world. But really, what's going to be happening is these agents and system of agents. So SAP has committed to creating what we call in the BDC BDC world, so in the business data cloud, data products, that's what of the existing line of business. So a data product and a data package will be surfaced up into business data cloud that agents can interact with. And the way that we see it, we're already starting to see some of the agents, like scheduling agents. So we have shop floor assistant agent, we have a service scheduling agent. So it understands, weather conditions, resource availability. I don't need to, and it will just execute. And then it's monitoring all the time to then change the outcome. So maybe, somebody gets stuck in traffic. I don't need to understand that person is stuck in traffic. The sensors coming from that vehicle will then change it. When we're talking about those are single agents. Please run this process. And then this will go off. It will take some knowledge from the system and then execute a product. The really exciting thing is then that the system of agents upon agents. And this is where we talk about Joule, our digital assistant, being this orchestrator. So I'm, as an end user, interacting with Joule. I'll ask it a question, and this may actually invoke multiple agents across multiple lines of business. So this is where we were talking earlier on about these data silos and transactional business units. If I've got a finance agent in a very simplistic firm, I could have multiple agents in each line of business, but a finance agent, a HR agent, a supply chain agent, a service agent, and I ask it a question, it then is the orchestrator of all of this information. It'll go and ask the finance, do we have budget? We'll go and ask the service agent, do I have resources available? What are the high priority elements to it? Do I have the right materials and inventory in stock from the supply chain agent? And who can do that? Typically that would take multiple questions, multiple people, maybe multiple hours to achieve. The orchestration agent then fires off, asks each of these individual agents to then go, okay, then give me your information that you know about. It will then execute the data sets, look into the data packages, and then surface back up its answer. Then Joule collects all of those answers up and then makes a common, combines all of those pieces together to then surface that back up to the end user. This is what's coming next. This is the exciting thing. Now, it is still very new in the conceptual side. And what do I mean by new? So SAP signed up for the Google A2A consortium. So that's the agent-to-agent consortium. Now, this was only signed in May of 2025. And only 2 weeks ago, Google passed this on to the Linux Foundation to provide it as open source. So in order to do the agent-to-agent interaction, this is very new in the world. And so we're developing our frameworks in order to take advantage of this, to then have this agent-to-agent interaction. So this is where we're going to get exponential acceleration in efficiencies. I mean, if you replace the manual task in order to actually get all the information from a particular use case, and then replace that with agents, this is where you're going to see these efficiencies. And the best way of describing it is that, the orchestration agent comes back and it allows, rather than us as humans trying to, 90% of the effort is retrieving that information to get the result. Okay? The agent is going to do that for us in a few clock cycles of a CPU. Now, all of the effort, that 90% that was spent on retrieving the information, can be now turned into understanding the insight that is provided. And then that will then accelerate the way that I do business, my understanding of what I can do. So I'm actually, standing on the shoulders of this, of the AI capability to then project and project my business forward. And that's the exciting thing that's coming along.
And also, just to add to those, Andy mentioned, that's where the MCP comes into picture. And even at Cintas, I would like to give an example. IT leadership had a vision, and they had coined together something called Knowledge Center. So this Knowledge Center was built with role-based accesses and restrictions, and to the previous point that Andy mentioned about hallucinations and grounding the model to only answer within the context, not to go out and bring its general knowledge from out in the world, but use it within the syntax context, etc. So to do that, we had set up a platform called Knowledge Center, and that's where all the AI, be it SAP, non-SAP, all those AI related, were all plugged into this knowledge center, and that's what helped us ground so that it is secure, doesn't get, and what we train when we ask questions to the model, we want to make sure that it doesn't take that and train it and give it as a general knowledge outside. So we had to follow all those principles. In ultimately, the future of the intelligent ERP is one where the technology adapts to us, not the other way around, where we have to adapt to it. So it's a future that will allow us to harness our human expertise like never before. That's the future of business intelligent AI.
All right. Thank you both to both of those examples, the extensive breakdown, Andy, that you provided, and then also Glanson for just coming in and providing a great example, because a lot of organizations have a knowledge center or have a hub of some sort where they keep information. And so I really liked how you said there'll come a time where technology will adapt to us and not the other way around, because right now we're adapting to it, right? So thank you so much for sharing that. So based on time, if we could get through these last two questions quickly, I would greatly appreciate it, to both you, Andy, and Gladson. This next question is to you, Gladson, based on time, but how accessible is AI-powered ERP for SMBs, and for those who don't know, that's small, medium-sized businesses, compared to large enterprises?
So for a long time, I think the honest answer would have been probably not. But today, that is completely flipped. And plus, SAP always had a flavor for the SMB called SAP Business One. I will come to Andy on that. But then today, with the power of AI built into the ERP, it can cater to the smaller segment also. And it is quick turnaround and scalable based on the business need. But in that same, AI in ERP is going through a similar democratization because of all the AI capabilities are scalable and built into the cloud. It allows scaling up or down. So I'd like to ask Andy, what is the future, or what is the current status of something similar to Business One with AI?
Yes. I mean, so in SAP world, this is our public cloud offering. I mean, the program that's been associated with it over the last few years is called Grow. And this is exactly what it's intended for. In the title is to allow businesses to grow into those large enterprise. So and with that is preform packages, preform processes built in already. So you take best practices for business processes that you want to enable within this process. And because it's public cloud, there's no need to have servers on site. It's all cloud access from the cloud. So all I need is really a browser and the right access rights. And then as products evolve and new patches release, because it's in the cloud, you automatically get those enhancements. So as we talk about AI being infused into business processes, that as SAP evolves, so does the small to medium business instances of our public cloud version.
So you're saying just like RISE for the larger organizations, like RISE with SAP, we have Grow for the smaller SMBs.
Exactly. So Grow is, complete managed service. It provides capability, and then it allows the flexibility for you to grow into those larger organizations. So you don't need specialists in every process as you would in a large organization. You can allow the best practices and just take the defaults of what SAP sees as the best process for that particular industry and that particular area of your business, and then you can then grow with it and extend out as we bring more capability to the business.
just adding my 2 cents. So, working with the SAP ecosystem for the last 20 plus years, I know in today's world, industry standards is to go with microservices, micro applications, cloud, different one for those different. But grow with SAP will help in such a way that you have the entire integrated, even meant for small businesses, all integrated into one platform with all the capabilities. Plus, you have the ability to integrate with other microservices if needed.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much. So we're approaching our last question. Again, we're a little over time now, but if you all have a question, I think we've answered majority of them that are in the chat thus far. But if you have any questions, please go ahead and drop it in, and I think we'll have time for maybe one. So our last question to the both of you are, what are top real-world use cases that are delivering fast ROI with AI-powered ERP?
Gladson, why don't you take that? Because I think
Some of the examples I think I gave multiple examples through the previous questions already. So some of them, like, for example, in the finance world, we have AI can automate invoice processing to drastically reduce errors and accelerate cash flow. For example, we implemented VIM, vendor invoice management, recently at Cintas, where vendors can just scan and the whole OCR AI kicks in and the orders are created automatically in the system in SAP. So similarly, so that's one. Similarly, in the procurement world, also we are seeing huge wins with AI-powered spend analysis. The system can automatically sift through millions of transactions to find cost savings opportunities you would never spot manually. And similarly, in HR, talent acquisition is a big one. Like I mentioned earlier, SAP is also going towards that. And I also know of another one where a company named TechChase, they launched Hire Right, which completely takes away you need human intervention, but AI can power AI powered recruitment, screening of the profiles, preparing the questions, all of that. So that's where our real world we are moving towards, the talent acquisition and internal mobility, etc. Similarly, in logistics also, all about optimizing supply chain. Predictive analytics for demand forecasting helps keep inventory levels just right. Not too much, not too little, but at the right level. So we have so much of real world use cases in today's world that businesses are already adopting, so that the ROI is pretty so quick.
All right. Thank you so much for those examples. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple. I think that's quite interesting is computer vision around quality. So we've got organizations using AI models in camera feeds to then determine the quality of their products. So we've got that. Predictive maintenance. So look at, again, a bit of computer vision, and then the traditional element of understanding the actual asset health of that piece. So those are two short examples for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much to you both. All right, so we are at time. I think we have opportunity to answer one question in which I think we did a really good job, like I said, of answering most of the questions that came in. But there's one question that I would love to ask just for quickly for you both. How does business AI fundamentally redefine the role of traditional ERP systems beyond just automation?
Beyond automation.
I can take one.
Sure.
Okay.
Goes back to the example I gave with the chatbot that we have added to our Customer 360 Fiori application. That is not just about automation. We are asking a question, it fetches the answer, summarizes it for the customer facing partner who is in front of the customer to give real-time answers. So that's not automation, but to give real-time insights. Similarly, we have another one where we capture NPS scores, and that is fed into a knowledge center, and knowledge center summarizes the NPS scores and gives the temperature against our customers. What do they feel about Cintas at our various industries, things like those. These are real world examples that we are really using at Cintas in today's world.
All right.
Interesting.
Andy, do you have anything to add? That was a great
Yeah.
example, Glass.
It's a great example. I think, the key thing is beyond automation, it's insights. I think is being able to pass through large amounts of information and then bring something back of value. I think is probably the key thing that business AI is going to do. And then I think when we move on, the next phase, recommendation. So I've told you what you've done. Now I'm going to tell you what you should do, or at least to recommend it. So I think that's the two things that aren't automation that you will see with business AI.
All right.
I can also add one more. I can just add one more. We did do a best prospects, product recommendation. So we have a machine learning model that we built that will recommend, okay, when our customer facing partner is in front of the customer, we can say, okay, he's already using these. I think I already mentioned it in the marketing email, but here that's also usable by them to say, oh, you're already buying these products. Do you want to consider this product also? That is also, that product recommendation was built using machine learning algorithms.
All right. Well, that was a great question. And I figured to throw it out to you guys, and you both provided great answers. So I thank you both. For those of you guys that are here and still with us, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, I'm Monique, and it's been a pleasure hosting this conversation on behalf of Pronix Inc. in partnership with SAP. We can't thank you enough, Gladson and Andy, for taking the time to be with us today. Today, we've seen how intelligent ERP systems powered by AI are helping businesses act faster, operate smarter, and achieve more. This event's recording will be available on the same LinkedIn Live event page for those who missed it or wish to revisit these discussions. I would actually encourage our panelists to go and visit it, just in case if there are any questions that you would like to address directly. Also, with SAP's cutting edge AI and Pronix Inc.'s implementation expertise, your enterprise can confidently step into a future where ERP isn't just automated, it's intelligent. So let's continue building that future together. So thanks again for spending time with us today. We appreciate your energy and your questions, and we look forward to staying connected as we keep pushing the future of enterprise intelligence forward and together. Take care, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you again, Gladson and Andy.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You're welcome.